Hello! Welcome back to this Path of Exile series. Well, it looks like it's time for us to spearhead a slave rebellion, huh? Now, we're not actually going to get any help from the slaves, but from the looks of them, it's probably best that way. We have a pair of eyes to take, and one of the NPCs left a rather interesting device around here. And we have a sub-quest to pick that up. Since optional quests tend to have extremely worthwhile rewards, I'm gonna just keep an eye out for that. The main new things that we see around here are guys with crossbows and those lightning whips. Slave drivers, they're called. And, of course, slave catchers. Upon seeing the slave catchers in the previews of this particular chapter, people wondered if crossbows were a new usable weapon in this game. Unfortunately not. I mean, I can't really blame Grinding Gear games for not adding something so significant in a patch where they're already doing a huge amount of work. But it was nice to be able to imagine things. At some point I really need to attach faster casting to my flame dash. I've already suffered a bit because of the lack of that. Wow. With so many people around here to keep the slaves in line, I wonder if it's even cost effective. I mean, it makes for a nice dungeon, but still. Oh, right, forgot the lightning golem. Should never forget that. Orb refusing? Very nice. I forget what the map boss is like here. I suspect I'll... No, wait, no, that's the guy that we steal the eyes from. Well, I think it's fairly clear that the slave rebellion would just be utterly doomed if I hadn't been catapulted over here when I was. Apparently it started a little bit before I came here, which is slightly suspicious in timing, actually. Also, I was hit rather hard there. Wow, I'm hitting them without even having to do anything. Oh. There are some rebels around here. Usually they don't survive these encounters, but hey. I'll do what I can. Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen one of you around here. I believe hatred gives bonuses to ice-related things, but I'll collect what I can. And remember when I said about my faster casting support for Flame Dash? That was a good example because I tried to use it, but I was interrupted. And got into a very bad situation because of it. In retrospect, I should have just used a Quicksilver Flask in addition. Oh well. And that's why I'm still not doing Chaos Inoculation. If I had, then I just would have outright died in that spot. That would have been very unfortunate. More levels, hooray! Where am I going from here? Apparently nowhere, because they still won't leave me alone. Like that. That's a perfect example.
Not before.
Oh yeah, I turned up the character voices, so... Oh. I keep forgetting to use that curse. That helped a little bit. Where I am going from here. That seems pretty good. Increased elemental damage is also nice. Cast speed and spell damage. Oh, there are just so many good things. But I'm gonna stick with this. Ah, there you are. That doesn't look good. I don't think there's a blood element in this game, although there really should be. Well, whatever. And that takes care of that. Whoa, the eyes just fell out on their own. Not sure how I should feel about that. So, that's step one. We have the key. Next step is to get to the door. Of course, this isn't the first game that has really grisly keys in it. Nor is it the first set of awful keys in this game. I think the reason I noticed it is because more attention is brought to it than at other times. Oh, well, I unfortunately had to skip most of the conversations for the sake of time. One of the characters mentions that the leader of this rebellion could have escaped on his own and sailed off to Nagmar Kunui, or however you pronounce it, but he chose to stay here and help with this rebellion instead. That's something helpful to remember.
Thank you. By killing Casticus, you've given us a fighting chance. And about his eyes, I'm sorry you had to do that. Yet although Utula's solution might seem brutal, I've seen Karui men blinded with a hot poker, simply for looking a fraction too long at an Oriathan lady. Yeah.
Well, this is interesting. I already have an Onslaught flask, though. A better life flask. Now that's interesting.
I'd be dead right now if not for Violenta. I just hope I live long enough to repay her. And how will I do that? By talking Utula out of his inclination to slice Violenta's throat open. As far as I'm... Remember, we do this for freedom.
That's Violenta. She's kind of an Oriathan scientist. You've met Piety, you know what that means. And she says, among other things, that Utula, the leader here, cannot be trusted. Well, of course she'd say that, right? And she's the owner of that device I'm trying to collect. In fact, I haven't found it yet, which means I need to explore a little bit more. But hey, not much has slowed me down around here, and I found that the game is pretty nice about providing an exclamation point when I'm nearby. Didn't used to do that, which made certain things in Act 3 especially annoying. Oh man, this means I'll have to murder more slave drivers. How will I sleep at night? Oh, there we are. And no wonder I didn't find it the first time through. It was through one of these cells, which I usually don't explore. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have found this without the help of the map. So I've clearly had access to the gem before. Faster casting, I mean. So why don't I use it? The answer is I just don't have the links for it on my gear right now. Wait, what am I doing? I can just use a portal scroll. Silly me. So this thing allows you to hear corruption noises from afar, which, well, it seems like Oriathan science, all right.
I simply can't express how wondrous it is to see you. What? No, not you, Exile. The miasmeter. The hope of humanity lies in this beautiful device and the precious knowledge it shall divulge. Far more useful than an accidental hulk of meat and instinct like yourself. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to discover that your slaying of the beast correlates directly to the strife we must currently suffer. At least you've proved useful enough to return the miasmeter to me.
Well,
I can't really fault Justicar Casticus. A man committed, heart and soul, to upholding the law. Of course, law isn't the same thing as justice, and men like Casticus lack the imagination necessary to make that distinction.
So the reason that we need this key is because it's the way to High Templar Avarius.
Tootles.
The last High Templar we dealt with was Dominus, and I had to resort to unusual measures to deal with him. So, I don't expect an easy fight for this next High Templar either. Still, hooray, skill point! I will never say no to another skill point. Oh, what should I take? Oh, right. I've already decided. The true decision will be happening after I get Purity with Flesh, because, well, we're not quite there yet. Oh no, fighting in the streets. Well, there are some innocent people in Oriath. Oh, funny thing about those rebels that have managed to make their way out of the slave pits. They now count as enemies even though they don't attack you, which is a very curious thing considering that they counted as allies before. As for why that is, well, I actually don't know. I just think it's worth noting. So, we have to deal with pretty much the traditional enemy, well, the traditional role-playing party now. We have knights, we have assassin types, and we have wizards. No healers, though. Well, healing magic is not really a thing anyway, so I can forgive that. I hope that most of the unarmed citizens are in fact staying indoors, because otherwise it would mean that the armed guards and other such outnumbered the normal citizens, which would be extremely weird. In the character creation screen, Dominus said to learn the lessons of Rayclast because they're your only hope of returning home. Well, I did, and I have, and I suspect that they did not expect or want me to actually do it. Considering that when I returned, they did not greet me with a warm hello. Well, normally this is where I'd say, well, they don't have much that can really stop me, do they? In this sort of game, that's a great way to get myself badly mauled. After all, it recently happened with that whole essence thing. Still, barring special circumstances, it's not looking good for them. Their dogs are very nasty, though. Feels a little odd that there is not really any sort of sub-quest or other reason to explore around here. But I guess we're not really supposed to hang around out here anyway. Here we go. There's the door. Wow. This game is very straightforward about your job, isn't it? So, we've made it in here, but the journey within and the boss fight at the end are another matter entirely. So I'm gonna stop the video here. I realize that this is a little bit of a cliffhanger, but there's just so much ahead that I don't want to fit that and this into one video. So, I will see you soon, and hope that I will make it a show worth the wait next time.